Squid Game Season 2. Just like the millions of viewers around the world, I also decided to binge watch the whole season in one evening. I must say that the series took some unexpected but yet familiar turns, with a lot of betrayal, uncertainty, friendships, loyalty, and the usual gore. Season 2 promised to heighten the stakes to a new level. The first few episodes highlights the continuation of the protagonist's search for the creators of the games and bring them to justice by himself. This search took about 3 years before he found a concrete lead in the man from the subway who initially extended the invitation to him in the first season. This search wasn't easy as he had to hire some private investigators to help him with the search. All the while, the subway man was still inviting people to the games, probably knowing that the protagonist was looking for him. Fortunately, the private investigators they were about to call it quits one day and heard a loud noise from the other side of the subway. They looked, and to their surprise, was the subway man playing a game with another invitee. He gave him the card and left after the game. They informed the protagonist and he set off to meet them and tried to capture the subway man. In the heat of the moment, the protagonist was caught speeding, so there was a delay in meeting the investigators on time, but he made it very clear to them not to engage with him until he gets there. Whilst they were chasing him, they realized this man was actually crazy as he bought a lot of buns and lottery tickets to give to homeless people who were in the park if they played a game with him. A simple game of pick which one you prefer, a ticket or the bread. After everyone made their choices, he angrily destroyed all the bread left as a lot of them chose the ticket instead of the bread. This was the first signal to the investigators that this man is not to be played with. They continued to follow him anyway, down an alleyway, but were scared they would lose him, so they decided to engage with him and capture him themselves. The subway man, on the other hand, overpowered them, kidnapped them both, and eventually killed one of them. When the protagonist got to the alley, it was too late, but later on found the subway man waiting for him in his own empty motel he bought with his winnings. Both men played Russian roulette, and our protagonist survived it. This was when he found the other private investigator was kidnapped in his own motel. They caught up and plot to take the Squid Game creators down themselves. In their efforts, our protagonist made a deal to go back into the game, but didn't realize that there was a mole on his team who kept giving away his plans to the organizers of the game, hence making it very, very difficult for him to make any significant progress in finding the organizers. And up to this point of the show is where I felt things started to feel a bit unusual. The man in the black mask had joined the game as a player number 1, reflecting back to the old man from season 1 who was the original creator of the game. I think he joined to ensure the protagonist's plan wouldn't work out. I must use this opportunity to also commend all the actors on their exceptional performances, especially the black mask. Honestly, he had me convinced in some parts of the show that he may be changing his mind to be part of the players, but he truly stayed true to who he is, and only a few Squid Game members knew he was in the games. So I suspect that only the square-faced crew members are the ones who knew him by face, as indicated in some parts of the show. My main criticism of the show was the last episode, which was supposed to be about the protagonist's ultimate plan to find the creators of the show and possibly the man in the black mask. Mind you, he was playing the role of player number 1 and also part of protagonist's inner circle and crew. The protagonist wanted the crew to lay low as the other half of the players who voted to carry on playing the game attack them and kill as many as possible until the guards intervene. Then they would take over and ambush them and fight their way to the top of the managerial rooms. The Black Mask gave a counter plan to that. He said they should rather attack them first, then weaken their power to ensure that they can actually vote to go home. This is one of those moments where I felt the most logical person in the room was the Black Mask. The protagonist insisted they stick to his plan and watch most of his crew members die whilst the strong ones plan an ambush on the guards and fight their way out, instead of attacking the enemy within and taking a vote to go home. Honestly, this was the worst idea the protagonist could have come up with, as almost all his friends he made and tried to help survive and leave were killed in both battles. The one against the pro Squid Game players, of which they opted to do absolutely nothing, and the battle against the guards, which they were heavily outnumbered and lacked ammunition. All this while, the protagonist's private investigator, with his inspector friend from season 1, and a mercenary crew were on the sea looking for the island but were constantly thrown off track, as they also had a mole on their team. It is a complete disaster all around, with a lot of betrayal, poor execution of plans due to unnecessary gossip. This season also did well to highlight the lives of some crew members when they were on and off the island for the games. It was a very interesting take, and I believe it helped the show more than the protagonist's ultimate plan. Anyway, it's Squid Game, and it is quite entertaining to watch from start to the middle, at least this one. But the lack of logic and lack of secrecy simply went out of the window in the last 2 episodes. So overall, I'll give this 7 out of 10. So check it out and let me see what you also think. Leave a comment, share, like, and subscribe. Thank you.